They broke the hero. Now the storm will break them.
Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Was Falsely Accused and Became King Ghidorah movie. Before we start, please go support Josu5 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken characters' gender, but of course Issei is a male. The XD universe. Vigilante. As many will know, in the original line, Issei is accused of having raped two of his companions, who are Kaori Murayama and Yui Kadis, but in this branch of the original line, we will see how things change, and also how there are more people on Issei's side, especially some of his loved ones. A few days before what happened. Asia narrates. Some time has passed after the great battle against the Trihexa, after what happened in the supernatural world was revealed, and the human world now lives with us, and they are also calm, knowing that we are here to take care of them, especially Issei-san, my beloved Issei-san. I'm still thinking about how to tell him what I feel, but I think he loves me more as a friend and not something more, but even so, I don't plan to give up until I can tell Issei-san that I love him. Normal narration. Now Asia was leaving her classes like everyone else, but something had her thoughtful and at the same time confused. Asia narrates. Today was supposed to be a normal day for me because I still had to return to classes, but the strange thing is that my best friends, Murayama and Kadis, are here, and I clearly remember that they could not come because they were sick. They came to classes and also told me that they recovered quickly, but something did not fit me, and that is that I left my familiar dragon Rias taking care of them, but now I will find out what happens. Also a few days ago we met someone named Boris, but something about him did not fit me, and it also made me distrust him. Also Xenovia-san, Irina-san, Kaneko-chan, and Ravel-san, even Akeno-san felt the same as me. We did not trust Boris. But also Sarafel-sama told me that we had to be careful since she did not like Boris. She felt the same as me and the girls feel, distrust of him. Normal narration. Asia was on the roof of Kuo Academy and would summon a magic circle, and Rias would appear in it. Asia. Rias, Mustrum si Murayama y Kadis estanahi contigo. The little dragon would move, showing Murayama and Kadis with rags on their heads while they slept peacefully. And at that moment Asia would look at Murayama and Kadis walking through the courtyard of Kuo Academy and again seeing the magic circle where the real Murayama and Kadis were shown. Asia. As I imagined, someone is impersonating Murayama and Kadis. Rias is still looking after the real Murayama and Kadis. The little dragon nodded and then the magic circle disappeared. Asia. Okay, I have my phone here, now I can use that spell I learned. Thus Asia would become invisible, going to where the false Murayama and Kadis went. Arriving at the women's bathroom, I saw a student running out of there. The invisible Asia would enter, seeing how Issei was raping Murayama and Kadis. Asia was surprised, but she started thinking again because she remembered something. Thoughts from Asia. Asia. That can't be Issei-san. I remember that he had to go to the underworld since Sarafel-sama needed his help with something important and that it would take him a few days to return, and if he had returned he would have told me or the girls, so just like with Murayama and Kadis, someone is pretending to be Issei-san. Out of your thoughts. After that Asia noticed that on the faces of the fake Murayama and Kadis, there was lust. Asia, despite not knowing much about this type of things, knew how to identify the face of someone great, and on the faces of the fake Murayama and Kadis, there were no tears, there were no pleas to stop and not to hurt them. On the contrary, the faces of both showed that they were enjoying it until after that. Asia with her phone that had also become invisible would begin to record. At that moment, a glow covered the three of them, and Asia saw that the ones pretending to be Murayama and Kadis were two girls, one with pink hair and the other with orange hair. But the one who was passing himself off as Issei was none other than Boris. Thoughts from Asia. Angry Asia. I knew it, I knew we shouldn't trust you, but what are you and these girls up to, doing this? I'll find out now. Out of your thoughts. Asia would continue recording, and luckily her spell lasted a long time because she learned to master her magic. Girl 1. That student from this academy saw everything. Girl 2. And he'll think the Red Emperor Dragon was raping those two girls we pretended to be. Boris. That's right, and now the plan will be a success and everyone will think that the Red Emperor Dragon is a traitor, and tell me, did you do what I asked you? Girl 1. Yes, I pretended to be the Sekiryuutei. Well, Seiryu recorded everything and sent the video to the factions, and it will arrive shortly. Boris. Well done Saki and Seiryu, finally the plan is almost finished, and then everyone will see me as their hero for turning in the traitor, rapist and murderer. Seiryu annoyed. Not bad, is that in order not to attract attention, we will have to continue pretending that we are those stupid and stay away from you so as not to attract attention. Saki is annoying. Which bothers us because those Gremory bitches will probably sleep with you and you'll have to be with them. But both were embraced by Boris. Boris. You guys know more than anyone that Master Rissavam asked us to do this as part of the plan, but even though I have to stay away from you and be with those bitches, they'll only be that to me, and you two will still be the only women in the life of someone like me. Boris would say it while kissing each girl, and they reciprocated. Saki. Okay, Boris-kun, it will be torture not having you by our side, but we will resist. Saki would say it while smiling just like Seryu. Seryu? Yes, while you continue with the plan for the Chaos Brigade to destroy the factions and the human world, we will be waiting for you. Boris. Thank you for understanding and I promise, I'll make it up to you with what you like. Boris would say it, making the two girls excited. Boris. Besides, as Master Rissavam already said, once this is over, I'll be able to dedicate myself to being with you and forming the family I promised you. Saki Seryu. Okay Boris-kun. So they both disappeared in a magic circle. Boris. Master Rissavam said that love is a stupidity that makes you weak, but for the first time in my life with them, I don't feel weak but stronger, but well it's time for Hyodo Issei to be removed from the path and also to begin my plan to make those stupid Gremory fall in love with me. So Boris would disappear in a magic circle. After that Asia again returned to the roof of Kuo Academy and was now visible seeing that she recorded everything. Asia. If you think you can fool me, you're wrong. It would be better to tell the girls, but. And that Asia saw how many messages reached the Gremory clan and all the students of the Kuo Academy because the student who saw how Issei raped Murayama and Caddis supposedly told everything and even reached the ears of the Gremory clan and surely soon the video that the Seryu girl mentioned to the factions. Asia. Don't think you'll get away with it Boris, it would be better to contact the girls, but I hope they believe me. After that Asia looked for the girls but only found Xenovia, Irina Kaneko and Ravel being in the forest watching the stars. Asia. Girls. Girls. At that moment the four of them saw that it was Asia. Xenovia. Oh hello Asia, how are you? Irina. I tried to call you to come with us, but I remembered I didn't have internet. Kaneko. Asia senpai seeing Quintripien. Asia. There is no time to explain, listen to me, Issei-sen is in great danger. The four of them were scared when they heard that. Ravel scared. What's happening with Issei? Angry Asia. Boris is a bastard, he's on the side of the Chaos Brigade and he joined two girls who are apparently his partners who are also part of the Chaos Brigade, they are in the middle of a plan to frame Issei-san. Kaneko surprised. That's why nothing made sense to us with that bastard. Irina, worried. But what is this plan you mentioned? Angry Asia. The unhappy guy pretended to be Issei and his two girlfriends pretended to be Murayama and Caddis and the three of them pretended that Issei-sen was supposedly raping Murayama and Caddis, but a student who saw them didn't see what I did see, look. So Asia would show them the video she recorded in which Boris, Saki and Seryu told what they did in order to falsely accuse Issei of treason. Angry Xenovia. That damn bastard, if he thinks we're stupid and capable of being fooled, he's very wrong. Angry Irina. The bad thing is that surely Rias and the others thanks to the message and that video of that Saki pretending to be Issei killing the demons and the scientist everyone believed her. Asia. I'll show Akeno-san the video later and I don't think she'll easily fall for that idiot's supposed charms. Kaneko. Wait Murayama and Caddis, what if those damn things try to kill the real Murayama and Caddis? Ravel. We have to go with them and help them. So the five of them teleported to Murayama's house because Murayama and Caddis were there, including the parents of the two, but before that Asia sent a message to Serafel. Inframundo Casa Citri. Issei would be seen helping Serafel with some things while she just looked at him with a smile and a blush. Issei. Well Serafel-chan, what else do you need? Serafel blushed. I just need you to help me bring me the documents. Issei. Okay, I'll be back later with the other documents. So Issei would go for the other documents and Serafel would see Asia's message, thus seeing how the news of the murder of the demons at the hands of Issei was shown. Serafel would be serious. It's not possible that Issei-chan did that, after all he never left here and he was always helping me with the documents, it would be better if I didn't let him out, I don't want the boy he loved to be killed. At that Issei would finally arrive with a row of documents. Issei. Okay, Serafel-chan, here are the other documents. After leaving the documents on the desk, Serafel would hug Issei tightly. Issei. Epasa algo Serafel-chan. Serafel. No, I'm just glad you came to help me. Issei would just smile and then hug back. Serafel's thoughts. Serafel. I'll do everything possible to keep you from leaving here because otherwise I'd lose you forever and you'd also be in danger. Out of your thoughts. But Asia and the others. They had already arrived at Murayama's house, seeing how she and Caddis were still sleeping, while Issei watched over them, as well as a phoenix that Ravel summoned and also Kaneko's familiar. The girls would leave the house without waking Murayama's parents and also Cadis's parents. Ravel then put a protective dome around the entire house. Ravel. This will suffice. Kaneko. If those damn things can't try to kill Murayama and Cadis. Xenovia. And now what are we supposed to do with that unfortunate Boris? Asia. If he tries to do anything to us, we'll just avoid him. Irina. Exactly, let's just hope that Sarafel-sama takes care of Issei and doesn't let him return to the human world. Asia. For now, I'll send the video to Sarafel-sama. I just hope it reaches her in time. So the girls left. The watchman narrates. The days went by, and every time Boris tried something with Asia, Xenovia, Irina, Kaneko and Ravel, he always ended up beaten, even though he did not give importance to it, and the other girls like Rias, Rossweisse, Kuroka, Sekiryuutei, Gabriel, who in this reality is Issei's partner, Yura of the Citri clan. Ingvild and Lefay became Boris's girlfriends and fell for the lies and believed everything that was told, that supposedly Issei raped Murayama and Cadis and that he also killed several demons and a scientist demon. Akeno did not swallow that lie because she knew that her beloved that same day went to help Sarafel, and she also knew that Issei was no longer a pervert and that he would not be capable of raping Murayama and Cadis, besides that he did not trust Boris. Until finally the day came. Normal narration. Sarafel would let Issei leave through a magic circle towards the human world because she thought that the news that Issei supposedly killed the demons had not reached the human world. Issei would arrive at the park where his entire life as a demon began. Issei. Well, it would be better to go to Kuo Academy. Serious Dreg. Dude, I recommend you be careful. I don't know why, but I feel like something bad is going to happen to you. Issei. I'll keep that in mind, friend. But just like in the original line, everyone would start hitting Issei, the girls who are on Boris's side also arriving, beginning a torture of blows and magical attacks until everyone stopped. Rias. Some guards will come soon to take this trash away, and don't even think about saying love, since we already have a boyfriend. So everyone left, but Issei would see Akeno. Akeno. I don't think you're capable of that, I know you Issei-kun, and I know that you're not capable of something like what you're accused of. But then Asia, Xenovia, Irina, Kaneko and Ravel arrived, and so Asia would begin to heal Issei while she asked what she was accused of. Asia. A student at the academy saw you supposedly raping Murayama and Cadis, but you weren't really there that day, and we know that. Xenovia. Aside from the fact that they are blaming you for the death of several demons, including one who was a scientist. Irina. But don't worry, Issei-kun, we will do everything possible to prove your innocence. Kaneko. So far we only have a video that Asia recorded of those responsible for this. Ravel. But we'll never abandon you, we promise. After that the guards would arrive taking Issei away. Asia would start crying like the others, but they all hugged each other. Asia crying. I promise we will save you Issei-san, just hold on. The guard narrates. And you should already know what will happen now that they took Issei, the beginning of the fall is about to begin. With Murayama and Cadis. You are finally waking up but breathing heavily. Murayama's father. Daughter, are you okay? Cadis's father. What's wrong with you, daughter? Mother Murayama. Daughter, why are you so distressed? Cadis's mother. Something is wrong with you, daughter. Murayama worried. We have a bad feeling that. Cadis worried. Issei is in danger. What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. The sentence, the torture is about to begin. Vigilante. We meet again to continue reviewing this original line of this Issei story, but anyway, let's continue with the story. Now it would look like our chestnut was locked in a cell and Dreg would heal from his wounds. Dreg. Dude, we should expect the girls who believe in you to look for more evidence to prove your innocence since the video the nun mentioned, I don't think it's enough. Issei. Why? Besides, Seraph-chan knows that I was with her helping her, so she's also on my side. Dreg. I know, partner, but surely everyone believed the lies of the one who framed you, and since they are all stupid, I highly doubt they will believe the girls who believe you, even Sarafel-sama, since they are stupid, that person who framed you would surely say that you brainwashed them, since you supposedly have that ability. Issei. That sounds stupid, who would be able to believe such stupidity? Dreg. Well, those who don't believe in you, and a certain blonde guy with a spear for a gun who's an idiot controlled by a bitch. Author's note. I hope you caught the reference. Before they could continue talking, the guards would arrive, taking Issei away. Afterwards everyone in the room was looking at Issei with disgust and repudiation, and some were disappointed. Others looked at him helplessly, like Razor, Sarayarg and Biku, who was the only one on Vali's team because Vali was still in a coma. Kunu was also there, the little girl would be watching with rage and helplessness what was about to happen to the one she considered her father. The trial would start first with the fact that Issei raped Murayama and Caddis, and then Murayama and Caddis entered, obviously without anyone knowing except for Asia, Xenovia, Irina, Kaneko and Ravel, knew that they were Saki and Seiryu, and that surely those who played the parents of both were demons from the Chaos Brigade. Then there would be evidence that Issei supposedly killed the demons as well as the scientist demon. Even showing the video that reached the factions from Seiryu, and everyone started throwing things at Issei until angry Serafel. Enough. At that, everyone looked at Serafel in surprise. Isaka annoys. What's wrong with you, Serafel? Why are you interrupting everyone? Angry Serafel. You are believing this false evidence, the day that Issei-chan supposedly raped those two girls, and that he supposedly killed the demons and the scientist. He was with me those days helping me with some documents. Issei-chan, you are allowed to speak so that you see that I am telling the truth. Issei hurt. It's true, I was with Serafel helping him with some documents, and I was there for a few days until I returned to the human world today. Angry Serafel. And also, how is it possible that those two girls are not sick? Asia-chan had told me that they got sick. Some began to shout in protest, while the girls who believed in Issei looked at everyone angrily and also saw Boris smiling sadistically. And as Drake said, everyone is very stupid and imbecile. Angry Serziches. Serafel, do you think we'll believe this damn traitor and murderer? Angry Yasaka. If you're going to be interrupting and saying stupid things to protect this traitor, go to hell. Angry Serafel. Gladly, but you're the stupid ones and Issei is the innocent one. So Serafel would leave the room. She would be walking until she would fall to the ground starting to cry, but Kunu would arrive hugging her. Kunu. Calm down Serafel-sama, everything will be fine, we just need to find evidence. Serafel crying. But they wouldn't believe us, you saw how they reacted when I said that Issei was with me that day, they don't believe in anything anymore, they believed even more in that false evidence. Serafel would continue crying while Kunu just cried silently. The trial would finally end and Drake would leave Issei's body, but unfortunately Drake would be locked in a glass container. While Issei was taken to Tartarus, the girls who believed in him, including Serafel and Kunu, cried because no one would believe the evidence Asia had, because now everyone trusted Boris more. Boris's thoughts. Boris. Everything went perfectly, and very soon Hyoto Issei you will die and no one will remember you, they will only remember you as scum. Out of your thoughts. While Murayama and Caddis, that is, Saki and Seiryu, smiled maliciously without anyone seeing them well except for Asia, Xenovia, Irina, Kaneko and Ravel. Asia crying. Sorry Issei-san, we couldn't help you. Issei would be able to see the girls who believed in him for the last time and then the doors would be closed. While Issei was still being taken to Tartarus. Vigilante. Very soon the torture for Issei will begin, and very soon all those who believed in the lies of Boris, Saki and Seiryu will suffer the consequences of their actions in betraying and leaving Issei aside, but those who believed in Issei will not suffer the consequences because they did not believe in Boris and those two. What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. Torture, the breaking point has arrived. Now Issei would be seen in a cell, but he was literally crucified because in the cell there was a cross and Issei was nailed there. While on his face there were some tears because nobody believed him that he was innocent except for Asia, Xenovia, Irina, Kaneko and Ravel, as well as Serafel and Kunu, nobody else believed him, but also if nobody believed him that he was innocent, he would never be able to go out and see the people he loves, his parents and sister, and also his best friends Mitsuda and Motohama, and also Gasper, since Gasper also did not believe in the evidence he knew Issei perfectly. But also the true Murayama and Caddis, Issei could never see them. But then a guy with a mask would arrive and even though Issei tried to talk, the guy just started torturing him. The Watchman narrates. And that was how Issei's torture began by the Ripper, being what was seen in the original line, but Issei was also forced to watch his ex-girls have sex with Boris, but unlike the original line, those who would not be there would be Asia, Xenovia, Irina, Kaneko and Ravel and Akeno, because they still believed in Issei this because of what we saw last time. Now the girls who believed in Issei would be seen outside, to be more specific a few inches from Issei's cell. Sad Asia. Poor Issei-san, he must be suffering and we can't find any more evidence. Xenovia sad. Kunu told me that she showed the video you recorded to Yasaka-sama. Ravel. And as expected, Yasaka didn't believe anything the video showed. Irina, annoyed. And to top it all off, that wretch hit Kunu so hard that she almost died. If Kaneko and I hadn't arrived, poor Kunu would already be dead. Ravel. And how are Murayama and Caddis? Xenovia sad. When they found out what happened, just like with Issei's parents and his sister, they were devastated, they cried like you have no idea, Asia, and I had to comfort them, telling them that we were soon going to prove that Issei is innocent. Sad Asia. But if Yasaka-sama didn't believe the video I recorded when little Kunu showed it to her, I doubt those idiots will believe us. But then they saw Boris arrive accompanied by 2 guards, heading towards Issei's cell. Kaneko. Did you feel it too? Asia. Yes, they are those damn Saki and Seiryu, and now why are they going with Boris, and why are they going to Issei-sen's cell? Angry Xenovia. If Boris does anything to our Issei, I swear I'll decapitate him just like those bitches. I am Sei. This one would receive a visit from Boris. But then a glow covered the guards revealing Saki and Seiryu. So Boris explaining the plan that Risavim gave to the 3 of them. Saki. You see, part of our plan was for Seiryu and I to take the form of those Murayama and Caddis and pretend that Boris using your form was supposedly raping us, and our show worked. Seiryu. And Saki also took your form to kill those demons, and I recorded everything and sent the video to the factions. Boris. One thing, I hope you enjoyed the show, I hope you saw me hit those Gremory bitches hard, not all of them though, but the ones I have are enough to make them hate you. Saki is annoyed. The good thing is that they are only bitches to you, since those wretches are no match for us. Boris. That's right Saki, those bitches don't have what you and Seiryu have. Before Issei could scream, Seiryu quickly opened his mouth while Boris grabbed Issei's tongue and also pulled out a knife. Boris. I hope you're still alive for when our new reign begins, which is called. Saki. The rebirth of destruction. Boris would then cut out Issei's tongue even though he was screaming, but it wasn't like before. Seiryu. I hope you enjoy the torture we'll give you Issei. Saki. You're going to suffer for getting involved in Master Risavim's plans. So the 3 of them went out and immediately afterward the girls took the forms of Murayama and Caddis. Boris. Make him suffer in the worst way. So the 2 nodded while the Gremory girls who were now Boris's partners and were armed began to arrive and Rias was not there because she was prepared to deliver the final blow. Vesuvius. Boris-kun, did you happen to see that damn traitor? Boris. Not exactly, just make him pay for what he's done. Ingvald. Don't worry, we'll make him suffer. So the girls entered Issei's cell as well as Murayama and Caddis, or Saki and Seiryu. And that while the torture of Issei by his ex-girls continued, the girls who believed in Issei only cried from helplessness because they could not do anything to save their beloved and more so when later the mass themselves went to torture Issei. But in that. The Keno annoyed. How could you do that you laughed? At that Asia, Xenovia, Irina Kaneko and Ravel saw Keno arguing with Rias. Rias. I did it for Akeno's own good, I wasn't going to have that baby from that damn monster. Akeno angry. He's a baby, he's a human being and a demon, how can you be like that and kill a being that is not guilty of anything like his father? Rias. And you come back with the same thing, why do you and your stupid people keep defending that scum Issei? Rias would say this referring to Asia, Xenovia, Irina, Kaneko and Ravel. Akeno angry. Why is Issei-kun innocent? I would show you the evidence we have, but how do I know that all of you who didn't believe in Issei are stupid, who trust that idiot Boris? Rias would just slap Akeno. Angry Xenovia. What the hell is wrong with you Rias? Did that idiot mess with your damn brain so you'd hit Akeno? Xenovia would say it while she and Asia helped Akeno get up. Rias. If you'll excuse me, I have some scum to visit and give him this news, and if you say something to my beloved Boris again, I swear things will get worse for you. You saw what happened to Gasper for complaining to me like Akeno is doing. But the Redeed received a strong blow from Asia, this definitely left her surprised, since Rias saw Asia as her almost sister. Asia crying. You're a bucking murderer. You and the others are dead to us. Rias was surprised but without saying anything she left. What the Redeed didn't know was that by doing what she was about to do, she would unleash terror on the entire world. I am Sei. He would be lying in his cell crying. But in that. Rias. You look bad trash. At that Issei would look at Rias while she was with her magic she showed him the pregnancy test surprising Issei because the test was positive. Rias. That's right Issei Hyodo, I was pregnant with you, it was going to be a surprise for your birthday, I even had a name planned, Mio Hyodo, but with what happened and that I could see your true face and that you are a damn son of a bitch, I aborted that abomination and I don't regret anything. Rias would say this, not showing any remorse for what he did and what he just said. The sound of breaking glass would be heard being none other than Issei's heart being destroyed, he preferred to be tortured, beaten, cut, insulted, but this was what destroyed him. But then Rias would grab Issei by the hair. Rias. I hope you never be happy again and that your place is in the damn hell where you will only be shit in the wind of hell. So Rias would give Issei a hard punch and Rias' fist was charged with energy of destruction which caused Rias' fist to pierce Issei's stomach, causing him to let out the last scream of pain he had. After that Rias would leave the cell while letting out a sigh because she felt relieved to get rid of that baby, but something inside her told her that what she did would end up bringing drastic consequences. But then she saw those who believed in Issei in shock upon hearing Issei's scream. Rias. I already told you that he is alone. Kaneko angry. Shut up. So Kaneko would start hitting Rias, but Ravel would quickly grab Kaneko. Ravel. You Kaneko, it's not worth wasting time with this scum. Angry Akeno. Scum and murderer of an innocent life. Rias just left in a magic circle. The girls took advantage of the time while there were no guards, so they went to Issei's cell where they saw him all battered, wounded, cuts, with a lot of blood, and also with a wound in his stomach. The girls were scared when they saw him like that, but then they started to cry and then carefully hugged Issei. Asia crying. Issei-san, please don't die, we still have to show the world that they made a huge mistake by believing in Boris. Irina, crying. We miss you so much, we are nothing if you are not by our side. Xenovia crying. Sarafel-sama as well as the real Murayama and Cadis also miss you and cry for not being able to help you. Ravel crying. Even your parents and sister and also friends miss you. Kaneko crying. And sorry if you lost your son or daughter, Ria-senpai is a damn girl for taking the life of that baby that you could never meet. Akeno crying. But we promise you that we will not give up, we will find Drake and prove your innocence, because we know that you are innocent. Afterwards the girls gave Issei a kiss on the cheek and then left. While Issei just stood there staring into space as tears flowed from his eyes. In a second he lost everything, he lost friends, he lost part of his loved ones, he lost his partner, he was blamed for something he never did, and only a few knew that he was innocent, but nobody believed the people who know that he is innocent, because as Drake said they are all idiots who fell for the lies of Boris, Saki and Seiryu. He was also tortured, beaten, pierced, psychologically tortured, and now he could never meet his baby because of Rias. All of that made Issei start to cry. While on the mountain in the distance. Ali. I have a feeling something bad is coming. Albion. I feel it too, mate. Iku. I feel it too, my friend. Ali. When I woke up I thought I would meet my rival and the one I consider a brother, but I was surprised to find that they accused him of being a traitor and a rapist, and it is something that he would never do in his life. Iku. But like I told you, there are people who still believe in him. Ali. I know and that makes me happy, but it bothers me that no one believes in the evidence that blonde named Asia Argento has. It seems that everyone is a complete idiot for believing in that garbage about Boris and those two damn women. I just hope that all those who didn't believe in him pay the consequences of their actions. The red-haired boy with emerald green eyes would say it. Well, the rain soaked the three of them. But everyone, including the underworld itself, heard Issei's last cry of suffering, pain, and sadness. The vigilante narrates. And as you saw, it happened like in the original line, Rias unleashed the breaking point for Issei which ended up destroying him, and now not only because of him, but also because of those who believed in the lies of those three and fell into Risavum's plan. You better prepare your graves factions and human world, because you those who did not believe in Issei are about to pay the consequences with your lives, since the King of Terror will not have any mercy or pity on you. What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. The truth is revealed, the fall, and the beginning of destruction. Vigilante. We meet again to continue with this story, but well as in the original line 3 years passed after what happened where Issei was tortured during all these years, but always the girls who trusted him always visited him, when they could even Kunu and Sarafel always comforted him and cried since Issei could no longer speak after Boris, Saki and Seiryu cut out his tongue. Even the real Murayama and Cadis and also their parents visited Issei. It should be said that both girls cried and hugged Issei so tightly, but they still could not find more evidence to show the world that they made a mistake by betraying Issei. Normal narration. Now everyone would be seen gathered in a church because today Boris was getting married to Rias, Rossweisse, Kuroka, Sekiryuutei, Gabriel, Yura, Ingvald and Lefei, even Yasaka, the only ones who believed in Boris's lies, and also there were Murayama and Cadis, the false ones, that is, Saki and Seiryu, who during these years had to go to therapy to avoid raising suspicions. There were also girls who believed in Issei, like Gaspar, Kiba and Tan. This was because during the time Kiba spent there, he found out about the video that Asia recorded and he knew that Asia never lied. And well with Tannen, Vali and Drake told him and he, as Issei's master, knew that he would never be capable of something like that and besides, a dragon never tells lies. There were also Razor and Serair to whom Asia also showed the video and they knew that Boris was the real culprit as well as Saki and Seiryu. How in the original line Risavum would arrive just as Boris would begin to narrate his plan until the light covered the fake Murayama and Cadis, showing that they were two girls, one with pink hair and one with orange hair. Saki. You see, part of our plan to destroy Issei was to frame him for things he would never do, and well, I transformed into Issei and killed all the demons, and I can't believe their stupid faces when they believed the video. Saki would say it with a mocking smile. Seiryu. And well about the grape, well as you saw, the two of us took the form of those two, and as Boris took the form of Issei, we just had to pretend that he was raping us, and all of you fell like flies ha 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 ha. Seiryu would say it with a devilish smile. Boris. It's true you fell like flies, ha 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 ha. Saki. We actually told Issei our plan, but we cut out his tongue. Seiryu. One of our plans was to kill the real Murayama and Caddis, but for some reason we couldn't. Everyone would be in shock, and the girls who didn't believe in Issei would start crying just like everyone else. But in that. Angry Asia. You all are idiots. Angry Xenovia. We are the only ones who believed in Issei and we even had evidence. Angry Rina. But since you were stupid to believe in Boris, we didn't even show you anything. The Keno angry. Even Yasaka-sama almost killed Kunu just for showing her the video because of her stupid love for that scum Boris. Boris. Well, even though you discovered our plans, it doesn't matter anyway, it's already too late. So everyone from the Chaos Brigade would be leaving. Boris. By the way, I don't like being with you bitches, I prefer Saki and Seiryu because they have what you don't have. Saki. Goodbye, Gremory bitches. Seiryu. Enjoy your peace while you can because you will soon die. So the Chaos Brigade would leave. Sad Yusaka. Kunu my daughter me. But Yusaka received a strong slap from Serafel. Angry Serafel. Don't get close to her, she stopped being your daughter the moment you hurt her and tortured my Issei-chan. Yusaka would be about to complain, but what would happen now would destroy her. Kunu. Yusaka, you are no longer my mother, you stopped being it the moment you trusted that human scum, and you did not believe in the one who is like my father, and when you hurt me when I showed you the evidence that my mother Asia showed me and you hit me and almost killed me I understood, I am not your daughter now, I am only the daughter of those who believed in my father, Hyodo Issei. Isaka's heart was completely destroyed upon hearing those words, she had lost her daughter forever. After that Rias tried to approach Asia, but only received a punch from her. Angry Asia. You guys ruined it, you condemned this world to destruction, and you also destroyed Issei-san, and all because you were stupid. But then a demon would arrive reporting that the prison had fallen and all its inmates died. The girls who believed in Issei were in shock. Had their beloved brown-haired boy died? The watchman narrates. The days would pass and the destruction would begin as the Chaos Brigade began its attack, and to top it all off some enemies from the past were revived, and that complicated things for the factions and the human world. On the other hand, the girls who still believed in Issei went for Murayama and Caddis and their parents, because they still had to protect them just in case. Now you would see Kakabiel and his fallen angels attacking everyone, but only a few did not attack and stayed away, being Rainer and Mitlet. Rainer. I think it's better to be dead than alive. Mitlet. You're saying that because of what we did in the past, right Rainer-sama? Rainer. Yes, I heard Issei a lot and also Asia, and I could never tell Issei that I truly loved him, but I had no choice but to follow that bastard's orders. Rainer would say it while looking at the gift that Issei gave her on their date, her only memory of the brown-haired boy. Mitlet. The bad thing is that he is probably dead and I thought you could apologize to him. Rainer. For now, let's just keep going. We can't let Kakabiel kill us. So the two began to fly. Rainer. But you know, I wish I could have Asia's forgiveness, ask her for forgiveness for everything I did to her. Mitlet. Same to me, friend, same to me. After that, as in the original line, Issei would make his appearance saving a mother and her son, but he only made it clear to them that he saved them because they are his prey, so our blonde-haired man with red eyes would leave. The guard narrates. As you know from the original story, Issei is cold and serious because of everything that happened, but here it will only happen to true traitors. Why am I telling you this? Well, you'll see. In the middle of the sea, the battle would begin. Drake would finally make his appearance facing Boris, but Drake could not face him. But before executing Drake, an ice attack hit Boris. Boris. So you finally dare to fight Leviathan? Serafel annoyed. You ruined my cursed Issei's life, you made him be tortured. In the heart of Serafel a magical symbol would appear, being a seal. Boris. I must tell you that I don't regret anything, in fact I would have liked to torture your Issei. Angry Serafel. Shut up. The seal on Serafel's heart would be cracking. Saki. Besides the fact that we really enjoyed the torture we gave him, you should have seen when we cut off his scrotum. Angry Serafel. Shut up. The seal would already be about to be destroyed. Seiryu. And now he will never come back because he died and you will be alone for the rest of your pathetic life. Angry Seraphim. Shut up. The seal would eventually be destroyed. Angry Seraph. Damn oh 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 oh. The giant water tornado would surround Serafel while everyone took cover until the tornado would finally disappear until Boris. So, that's your true form, huh? At that moment everyone saw a giant monster. Both Sona and her parents were frightened to see Serafel finally unleash her true form. Saki. What do we do now, Boris-kun? Boris. I'll take care of her, you take care of everyone else left. Seiryu. Understood. So Saki and Seiryu would go on fighting. Boris. It's time to fight, Seraph Leviathan. Seraphil in his water dragon form would let out a loud roar and then launch himself at Boris. While the others continued to fight. Xenovia together with Irina fought against Kateria. Bulkiba and Gasper were fighting against a flock of fallen angels. And that Donisic and Kalwerner would see Asia. Donisic, you are now or none. Kalwerner, now you will die. So both of them threw 2 spears of light, but in that the spears were destroyed by other spears of light. Asia would see that in front of her would be Rainer and Mitlet. Kalwerner, annoyed. What the hell is wrong with you two? Rainer, if you think we'll let them kill Asia, you're sorely mistaken. Mitlet, why, if they want to do it, they should go through us first. Asia would be surprised to see how Rainer and Mitlet were defending her. But Rainer would lift Asia up. Rainer, I sincerely ask you to forgive me for everything we did to you, Asia, especially me. Mitlet, but now you have to get to safety, it's dangerous for you to be on the battlefield. Asia understood everything and then went to take cover. So the 4 fallen angels began to fight each other. While the others continued to struggle, some with complications, but others not. Especially the girls who believed in Issei were so furious and filled with rage that they began to overtake their respective opponents. While Kaneko and Ravel began to fight against Saki and Seryu. Kaneko angry. They will pay with their miserable lives for destroying our beloved Issei. Kaneko would say it while hitting Saki wildly. Ravel angrily. Why don't we have compassion for you, you fourth-rate boors? Saki. Ha, even with that strength and fury. Seryu. Do you think you can beat us? Kaneko Ravel angry. Of course we can beat them. While Akeno was fighting Kakabiel. Kakabiel. Do you really think you can beat me? Priestess of Lightning. Angry Akeno. Anger and revenge makes you stronger, and I want revenge against all those who destroyed my beloved Issei. Kakabiel. Well, prove it. On that. Rias. Akeno, let me help you for. Angry Akeno. Shut up. So Akeno would launch an attack on Rias, surprising everyone there except those who trust Issei. Akeno angry. I don't need help from a scum and murderer like you. Bulkunu helped Kaneko and Ravel against Saki and Seryu. At that moment, Seraphil in his Leviathan form would be beating Boris up, but Boris always returned each blow. Boris. Strong enough to have it all, but weak enough to take it. Boris would continue attacking Seraphil until one of Boris's dragon heads bit Seraphil's neck, causing him to let out a roar of pain. Boris. Just like that fool Drake, you can't stand up to me, nor avenge Issei, so now die and reunite with your beloved. So Boris pierced Seraphil's stomach, causing her to let out a loud roar of pain that was heard by someone. Seraphil-chan, I must go take revenge on that scum Boris before he kills Seraphil. Back in the fight. Boris would drop Seraphil like that, crashing to the ground. While Rainer and Mitlet had finished off Donisic and Kalwerner. While Xenovia and Irina defeated Kateria but had not killed her yet. Kaneko, Ravel, and Kunu hadn't finished off Saki and Seryu yet, but they were surpassing them. At that time Boris would be approaching Seraphil, who was still in his Leviathan form. Boris. It's over, Seraph Leviathan. But before killing Seraphil, a golden ray would strike Boris, and it was none other than Issei. Wounded Drake. Forgive me, brother, I couldn't face him, and neither could the Mao Leviathan. Issei. Don't worry, you rest, I'll take care of him. The battle, or rather torture for Boris, would be like in the original line until Issei finally transformed into his King Ghidorah transformation. Everyone who knew the story of King Ghidorah was terrified, and Issei began to kill everyone, like Kakabiel, Loki, Kateria, and also Donisic and Kalwerner, and to top it all off, Issei killed Rissavam and the rest of the Chaos Brigade. Boris tried again to kill Issei, but it was useless because the King of Terror was superior to Boris. Issei. When your face changes to an expression of fear and terror, for me it is the most satisfying, and what makes me smile, ha 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 ha. Issei would already be ready to kill Boris, who, not being able to see a last exit, only saw Saki and Seryu. Boris add. Girls, I'm sorry. With his last words spoken, Issei launched his anti-gravity rays, thus disintegrating Boris, killing him once and for all. Author's note. You deserved your death, asshole, end of note. Seeing that he was finally able to finish off that bastard, he would only let out a great roar of victory. After that everyone was scared, especially Rainer and Mitlet, who were with Asia, since they were afraid that Issei would kill them. Saki and Seryu had a lost look on their faces, and it was clear that they were shocked and devastated. Until both of them fell to the ground as they began to cry because they lost their beloved. Saki crying. No, please don't tell me this is a nightmare, no, Boris, no. Seryu crying. Whyy. Issei approached ready to kill them, but they left in a magic circle. Issei. Damn, they escaped, but sooner or later I'll finish them off. And that Issei would heal Drake while he began to get up. Issei would see Rainer and Mitlet and was willing to finish them off, but Issei didn't do it because he felt the regret in them and he could see when they defended Asia. Although Issei liked to kill and that makes him smile, even though it won't show, he was still the same as before. And that a brightness would blind everyone until Issei would see that Serafel finally returned to her human form, but she was naked and with several wounds and was also unconscious. And that Issei would carry her like a princess. Issei. I'll take you to a safe place to recover. Issei would be starting to leave the place but. Asia crying. Issei-san, is that you? At that Issei would turn around seeing the girls who believed in him. Xenovia. Please let us go with you. Irina. Besides, we don't want to leave Serafel-sama alone even though she's with you. Ravel. Please let us go with you. Kaneko. Issei-senpai please we ask you. Issei would be thinking about it and he knew more than anyone that the girls still believed in him despite everything and that they never left him. So Issei, for the first time in his time, finally smiled again. Issei. Okay, you can come with me. The girls felt happy when they saw their brown-haired boy smile because it had been years since they had seen the smile of the brown-haired boy who had made them fall in love. Issei. You guys will come with me. Issei would say it seeing Rainer and Mitlet. Rainer assistada. Piro no nos mataris. Issei. I would have done it but I saw how they defended Asia and regretted it so they can rest easy. So the two frols would only smile. Serziches. Issei, tell the truth, are you serious? Issei would return to his serious and cold expression. Serious Issei. Before you say anything, let them know that I only came to save those who believe in me. Referring to the girls who believe in him, Vali, Biku, Gasper, Kiba, Razor and Sarayarg and also Tannen. Serious Issei. As for you and those bitches who escaped, I inform you to prepare because I will have no mercy on you and I will enjoy tearing you apart one by one until the sinners pay for their sins. So Issei would take flight while the girls followed him. Everyone hearing that felt true terror. Vigilante. With that last thing said, everyone knows that Issei is ready to kill everyone who didn't trust him. It's better that they all prepare their graves because Issei Ghidorah will have no mercy on them. Now Saki and Seryu are seen on a mountain crying while rage flooded them. Saki angry and crying. Hyodo Issei, damn wretch, you're going to pay for taking away what we love in our lives. Seryu angry and crying. And this time you won't come back to life. What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. I love you girls, the Kuo Academy Massacre. Watchmen. We meet again, spectators, but it's time to continue with this alternative line. Now Issei and the girls would be seen walking through a forest until they would stop and Issei would lay Serafel down under a tree. Asia. Will she be okay? Issei. Don't worry, it's just that I use a lot of power to use that transformation, in fact I'm even surprised by its true form. Akeno. We were also surprised to see his true form. Rainer. Issei, I wanted to know if you could forgive me like you Asia. Mitlet. I would also like to apologize. Issei would just stay silent while Asia looked at Rainer. Rainer sad. I know we hurt you a lot and that it may cause you trauma Issei, but I really fell in love with you. Sad Mitlet. I also want to apologize since I hurt you and all that, but I really regret everything I did to you. Asia. Don't worry girls, I forgive you. At that Issei would remain silent but then he let out a sigh. Issei. There was no need for them to ask for forgiveness, after all I didn't kill them and they protected Asia, so I forgave them, especially you Rainer. Rainer would only be happy but would hug Issei tightly surprising the girls and Serafel who had finally woken up. Serafel crying. Issei-chan, is that you? You're alive. So Serafel, despite being somewhat hurt, would hug Issei tightly and the other girls joined in the hug. Issei. The only thing that gives me motivation to get up and be what I am now is you, because I love you girls. That would make the girls happy. Asia Xenovia Arena Kaneko Ravel Akeno Serafel Rainer, happy. We love you too much Issei-kun. Each girl would say it to give a passionate kiss to the brown-haired man who would reciprocate. Kunu and Mitlet would smile at the scene. Issei. I haven't forgotten about you either, Kunu. Happy Kunu? Daddy. So Kunu would hug Issei tightly while the others joined in the hug even Mitlet. After that, everyone would have fallen asleep except for Serafel. Who was watching the moon with Issei. Serafel. And tell me Issei-chan, you're going to kill them, right? Serious Issei. Yes, I still have to take revenge for everything they did to me, the underworld and the human world will feel my wrath. Serafel. But what about your parents? Your sister, your two friends, the real Murayama and Cadis and their respective fathers and mothers, and what about Vali, Biku, Gasper, Kiba, Razor and Sarayarg and also Venelana-sama? They all believe in you and know that you are innocent since we showed them the evidence and they believed it since they are not stupid like the others. Issei seriously. I know, I saw it in their eyes, and that's why I made the decision not to hurt them and protect the only ones who trust me. Serafel would be. And if someone who didn't believe you asks for forgiveness or tells you they're sorry, would you forgive them? Serious Issei. I'm not an easy to fool idiot, and even if he asks me for forgiveness, or that he's sorry, or if he asks me for mercy, that won't work because I'll kill all those sinners and make them pay for all the damage they did. Serafel. Then we too will help you in your revenge. Issei surprised. Really? I wouldn't want you to get hurt and I don't want to involve you. Serafel. I know you want the best for us, but we want to make everyone who hurt you pay, especially me and the girls. We want to make Yusaka suffer for what she did to Kunu. Issei surprised. What did that damn thing do to him? Serafel. When Kunu showed her the video that Asia recorded about Boris's plan and those two, as Yusaka at that moment fell under Boris's charms, she didn't believe her and hit Kunu very hard to the point that she almost killed her. If it weren't for Kaneko and Irina, little Kunu would be dead. Issei's blood would be boiling at its peak. How dare that woman hurt her own daughter just for believing in him, something she never did. Serious Issei. Okay, we'll soon go with that damn girl and make her suffer. Serafel. Okay, but for now we have to rest. You said that tomorrow we have to go to Kuo Academy and kill those who are there, right? Issei. That's right, rest Serafel-chan. Serafel. Rest my love. So Serafel would fall asleep while Issei hugged her like the others. Issei whispering. I promise that I will take care of them, and after all this, we can be calm and live happily. The Watchman narrates. The days passed and the entire human and supernatural world were shocked by the return of that boy they left aside, but when they heard Issei's warning that he would come for them, some humans began to pray for forgiveness and mercy, but that would not work. Normal narration. It could be seen in the Kuo Academy, which was a temporary refuge for Miku Hyodo, Issei's sister, together with Mitsuda, Issei's friend and the brunette's partner. Miku. I didn't think my brother was a murderer because of everything that happened to him. Mitsuda. Calm down Miku, I know what you're going through with Issei, your brother hurts you, but you shouldn't worry. I highly doubt they can do anything to him, seeing what happened days ago when he appeared. Miku. I know, but what about the warning he gave? He said he would kill us all, and that includes us and the human world. Mitsuda. But he will go for the traitors, after all we always believed in him until the end, even the real Murayama and Caddis, because the two girls who were with Boris and Boris himself were the ones who caused all this. Also I highly doubt that my friend will kill those who still believe in him, so I think we will be fine. Miku, wanting to trust her boyfriend's words, would just smile, and then the two would give each other a tender kiss before leaving. Without knowing that Issei and the girls heard everything. Issei. If I knew he was right, the only thing I care about is the traitors, I don't seek to kill those who believe in me. After that Miku and Mitsuda arrived at the courtyard of Kuo Academy, seeing how the real Murayama and Caddis looked at the sky sadly. But they also saw Murayama's parents, Caddis's parents, and finally Issei's parents. Miku. Mother, what's happening? Issei's mother. They are still sad because nothing has been heard from our baby since he appeared and revealed himself to everyone. Issei's father. We just have to hope our son is okay. But unlike the original line, a discussion would begin with a student who saw the moment when Boris, in the form of Issei, was supposedly raping Murayama and the fake Caddis, meaning Saki and Seiryu. Murayama angrily. Because of you and those bastards, they condemned our Issei to that prison. Angry Caddis. Do you have any idea how much it hurt us to see him like this, hurt, with several cuts, and without a tongue, and without life in his eyes? You guys just believed the lies of that bastard and those bitches who took our appearances. Motohama. And if Issei returns, it doesn't matter if blood is shed, what matters is that all of you who didn't believe in him pay the consequences for your actions. On that. Issei. You're right about that, Motohama. At that everyone saw that it was Issei together with the girls and Kunu. Happy Miku. Brother. Mitsuda Motohama happy. Friend. Issei's parents. Son. Murayama's parents. You are young Hyodo. Caddis's parents. It's here. Murayama Caddis crying. Issei-kun, you're back. Issei. I came because I have some unfinished business with this place where I received a beating from all the students, so. Issei would say it while his eyes shone. Issei. It's time to return that beating. A student who was there would try to escape, but Xenovia and Irina quickly intervened. Xenovia. You heard our dear Issei, you will be the first sinners to pay the consequences. Irina. I know killing is a sin, but I know it's the right thing to do, so try to escape and you'll die at our hands. The student tried to escape again, but the girls prevented her from escaping until Issei began the massacre. Author's note. What better way to hear something about a massacre than with the soundtrack? End of note. Issei would begin by launching his anti-gravity rays that impacted the Kuo Academy. Everyone there would start running because they saw that Issei was there, which means that no one would be able to escape. Issei would start walking down the halls as students ran from him. Issei. No, 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 where are they going? They can't escape their destiny. At that point the ground would be frozen by Serafel and the students would no longer be able to run. Serafel would be. Now you can kill them, honey. Issei. It will be a pleasure. So Issei sharpened his claws and then began to cut, gut and dismember all the students who tried to escape from him but couldn't because their feet were frozen. Now Issei found himself entering one of the many classrooms seeing a group of students and teachers. Issei. Akeno, can you help me with these here? Akeno. Ara, with pleasure, darling. So Akeno gathered her rays just as Issei prepared his anti-gravity rays and then both launched their attacks destroying the room and killing those who were there. In another hallway. Some students of Kaneko and Ravel's ages tried to escape but walls of blue fire and a wall of red fire trapped the students. Kaneko. I'm sorry, former classmates, but you can't escape your destiny. Ravel. My dear Issei, they're all yours. At that moment, Issei would emerge from the wall of fire with his claws ready to dismember. Issei. Thank you Kaneko-chan, thank you Ravel-chan. So Issei began to dismember the students while they screamed for mercy. Serious Issei. Mercy does not exist for you. Some students are said to be hiding in the back of the academy, along with some teachers. But they were all found by Rainer and Mitlet who held them back until Issei finally arrived. Rainer. All yours dear Issei. Mitlet. Go on, buddy, show them the consequences of believing the lies of some idiots and turning their backs on the one who was their hero. Issei. It will be a pleasure, pay for your sins and sink into the depths of the purgatory of terror. Thus Issei would launch his anti-gravity rays disintegrating the students and teachers. It should be said that when Issei dismembered his victims, his two heads ate the remains that remained. The other students were running for their lives until Asia and Kunu stopped them. Asia. Killing is a sin, but you deserve it for hitting my Issei that day. Kunu. And my daddy will have no mercy on you scum. At that point Issei would arrive and then tear those students to pieces with his claws. The few who remained were on the roof of Kuo Academy as the fire continued to advance towards it, but for those who remained, it was better to die burned than dismembered or disintegrated. But unfortunately Issei would arrive with the rest of the girls, except for Xenovia and Irina, who were holding the student and her friends. Issei. This is the end of your lives, suffer forever in purgatory, and die before me Issei Ghidorah. Thus Issei dismembered some students and teachers and disintegrated the last ones with his anti-gravity rays. Issei's parents, as well as Murayama and Cadis's parents, Issei's friends, his sister, and also Murayama and Cadis, were surprised to see everything Issei did. Murayama surprised. What did those bastards turn our Issei into? Xenovia. What Issei-kun told us is that he made a deal with someone called King Ghidorah, the King of Terror. Irina. And as a result of torture, pain, suffering, and psychological torture, Issei became what you are seeing. Cadis scared. So that means that Issei-kun will kill us too. Xenovia. It's not like that, my friend, after all you didn't do anything to Issei and you always believed in his innocence just like us. Irina. As for those who didn't believe in Issei and tortured him. Irina would say it seeing the student and her friends. Irina. Issei will have no mercy on them. At that moment Issei would finally arrive, ready to kill the last survivors. Scared girl. No, please, I beg you, have mercy on me and my friends, it was my fault that I didn't see what Asia saw and also the fault of saying everything that I thought you had done when I didn't know it was about that guy and those two, but please I beg you, have mercy on us please. Issei would just start laughing like crazy, like the legendary Kira. Issei's laughter scared the student and her friends. Issei. Do you think that just because you ask me, or beg me, I will have mercy? No, I will not have mercy or mercy on you, since I will not leave my prey alive. Issei would say it while showing his wings. Issei. Let me tell you something, there is a well-known saying, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and this will be the punishment you deserve for what you did die. Thus Issei dismembered and disintegrated the student's friends until only she remained. Issei. It's not worth it that I killed you, it's not so satisfying anymore, tell me girls who gives him his sentence. Serafel. I think I have your conviction. At that, Serafel would freeze the girl's body, leaving only her head free. Serafel. Kaneko-chan, you do the final honors. Kaneko would only smile sadistically. Kaneko. With much pleasure. With a strong blow, Kaneko destroyed the ice and the girl's body, leaving only her head in a huge pool of blood. Sad girl. I'm sorry. It was the last thing he said before his head was trampled by Kaneko. Kaneko. A sorry doesn't fix what you caused. Seeing that his revenge on those at the Kuo Academy was over, Issei let out a loud roar. Issei. My revenge here is done, we can go. But then Issei would be hugged by his family who cried and asked him to come back with them. Issei would just turn around hugging his family. Issei. Forgive me, but I can't come back with you, not until I've finished with all those who deserve to die, but I promise I won't do anything to you. After all, you always trusted me and believed in me always, and I don't plan on killing those who believe in me. I promise that once all this is over, I'll come back with you. So Issei's parents and his sister would continue to hug him, as would Issei's friends, including Murayama and Cadis's parents. Then Issei separated from the hug. Murayama Cadis crying. No Issei, don't go. At that the two would hug Issei tightly. Murayama Cadis crying. We love you too Issei, and that's why we want you to stay with us just like the girls, please don't leave us. At that Issei would just give the two of them a tender kiss and they would reciprocate. Issei. As I told my parents and sister, when I'm done with all those who deserve to suffer, I'll return, and that means being with you and those who believe in me, I promise. Issei would say it smiling, making Murayama and Cadis calm down. Then Issei and the girls fly away. In the distance Vali, Biku, Gasper, Kibarazer, Sarerg, Tannen, and a girl watched everything that happened, surprised to see how Issei mercilessly killed everyone who was at Kuo Academy. Meanwhile with Issei. This one would be flying along with the girls, even though Mitlet was carrying Kunu on his back. At that Issei's left head would appear. Issei. And now what happens Kevin? Kevin. Well, I wanted to ask what's next on the list. Issei. Now we will go visit a certain bitch who almost killed my little Kunu just because she did believe in me unlike her. Kunu. Daddy, are you talking about? Serafel. I told Issei what the damn Yasaka did to you, so we're going to make her pay not only for almost killing you, but also for torturing Issei. Issei serious. But tell me Kunu, do you not care about her anymore? Kunu I understand what Issei meant. Kunu. Yasaka is no longer my mother, she stopped being one the moment she didn't believe in you and almost killed me. For me my mommies are Asia, Kaneko, Ravel, Xenovia, Irina, Serafel, Akeno and Rainer, and Mitlet is my aunt, and you are my daddy. The girls were happy as was Issei. Issei. I'm glad to hear that, daughter. And again Issei returned to his serious and cold expression. Serious Issei. Then let's go to Kyoto. So Issei and the girls following the flight to Kyoto. Vigilante. Yasaka and his people and those of Kyoto had better prepare themselves because the King of Terror is ready to kill everyone without mercy. What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. Massacre in Kyoto, torture for the Kitsune. Vigilante. It's good to see you again viewers, but before as you know in the original line, Kunu was also injured and left on the verge of death by Issei, but obviously being an alternative line that won't happen, and well, it's time to see what consequences Yasaka and her people must pay for not believing in Issei. Kyoto Yasaka Palace. Yasaka would be seen on her throne being sad because after what happened when the truth about Issei's innocence was revealed. Yasaka on that day lost what she loved most in the world, her little daughter Kunu. She spent her time crying, remembering the moment when she almost killed her own daughter because she didn't believe the evidence she showed her. He also remembered how poor Kunu cried every night, repeating 1,000 times that she wanted back the one who is like her father. It bothered her that Kunu kept calling Issei that and she always scolded her and slapped her. Yasaka's heart ached to remember the damage she had done to her own daughter through her stupidity. But what hurt him more were the words his daughter said to him that day. Flashback. Kunu. I am no longer your daughter, I stopped being one the moment you almost killed me, and the only ones who are my mothers are those who believed in my father, Hyodo Issei. End of the flashback. Every time Yasaka remembered those words her heart shattered into a million pieces, she lost her daughter because she was stupid. Yasaka walked sadly through the palace corridors, every time she passed through some doors, she always heard the sound of someone knocking on the door, but she always ignored it because she was hiding something behind those doors. Yasaka was also afraid because she knew that Issei would come for her sooner or later. And that Yasaka would remain looking at the starry sky in a sad way. Sad Yasaka. I was stupid, how could I have fallen for the charms of that damn wretch, because of him I never believed my daughter, and that's why I almost killed her, and now I've lost her forever because of my stupidity. Tears would begin to flow down the Yakai's face. Yasaka, crying. Forgive me Kunu daughter, I regret all the harm I did to you for not believing in you or anyone who believed in Issei. I regret having said that I preferred to have another daughter of that bastard and leave you to your fate. I regret sleeping with and falling in love with that scum. I'm just a bucking bitch. Yasaka would finally wipe away her tears. Yasaka sad. It would be better to go and rest. But just at that precise moment, the terrifying roar would be heard in the skies and the whole city would hear it. Yasaka felt a chill run through her body. Watchman. It's time for Yasaka and her people to feel true terror. At that moment, several dark storm clouds, also accompanied by thunder, were covering the entire sky, while Yusaka would see a giant dark figure pass through the skies. Yusaka knew that this was none other than Issei. While in kaiju form he flew all over Kyoto. While the girls were playing with Kunu, Serafel was reading a magazine about torture with Xenovia. Serafel. I think this option is better torture for her. Xenovia. Leave several cuts on him and pour acid somewhere on his entire body. What do you think, dear? Issei Ghidorah. Whatever you guys decide is fine, I'll take care of leaving him with some wounds. Issei would say it as he continued his flight, waiting for the right moment to descend. Serafel. Although now that I think about it I came up with a great torture to finish. Xenovia. What would it be exactly? Serafel. It's about something I saw a year ago when I went looking for something to watch about anime, but I'll tell you. So Serafel whispered something to Xenovia and then put on an evil smile. Xenovia. The perfect suffering for a bore like her. Issei Ghidorah seriously. Well, it's time, hold on tight, and Akeno and Serafel help me with this. Serafel. Con mucho gusto Issei-chan. Akeno. Ara, this will be so much fun. Issei would begin to descend as their necks began to light up. While Serafel and Akeno gathered magic for their attacks. Until finally. Issei would launch 3 anti-gravity beams while Akeno accompanied him with a lightning attack and Serafel with an ice attack. The 3 attacks caused great destruction in the city of Kyoto as buildings began to collapse, people ran desperately, some people were crushed, but others were not as their bodies were scattered on the ground. And that Issei would finally come down along with his loved ones. Issei Ghidorah. Daughter, go with your Aunt Mitlet, we'll take care of the rest. Kunu. But what if you need me, you know what, daddy. Issei Ghidorah. I'll call you, little one. Issei would say it while smiling. So Kunu and Mitlet would go for a walk away from the destruction. Issei Ghidorah. Don't let any of them escape. So the girls nodded. Issei Ghidorah. Let the hell begin. Issei together with the girls would begin what is described throughout Kyoto as hell itself incarnate. People ran desperately, but some were disintegrated by Issei's anti-gravity rays. While the other people, the girls, were in charge of killing them all. Some yokai even decided to run rather than die, but it was useless because Issei disintegrated them. Others tried to confront him, but it was the worst decision they made because Issei massacred and devoured them without any mercy. The destruction would continue and continue, the screams of the entire city flooded the ears of an already disturbed Yusaka, who watched everything with great terror and fear when she saw what Issei and the girls were doing. Issei and the girls would continue with their destruction until Rainer and Issei noticed something watching them. Rainer. But look, someone is watching our show. The 3 heads of Issei and Rainer would be looking in the direction of Yusaka, who was scared when she saw that she was discovered. Xenovia. Now we can give him what he deserves. At that the girls went towards the Yusaka palace as did Issei, Mitlet and Kunu, who had returned from their walk and also from having killed the people who were hiding. But at that Issei would begin to shrink until he finally returned to his normal form. So he and the girls and Kunu being in front of Yusaka. Serious Issei. Long time no see, bitch queen of the Yakase. Issei would say it while Yusaka looked scared at Issei's new appearance again. Xenovia. Did you miss us, Yusaka? Yusaka, terrified. Issei, are you? Serious Issei. Of course it's me, but it's time you get what you deserve. Before saying anything, Issei would give Yusaka a strong kick that would send her flying. The remaining guards tried to prevent the boys from killing the Yakai queen. But these ended up being executed by the girls and Issei. Until finally Issei and the girls would be in charge of Yusaka. Yusaka scared. Where is my daughter? I want to see my daughter. Xenovia. I think it wasn't clear to you that day, Kunu stopped being your daughter the moment you trusted that idiot Boris and didn't believe in our Issei. Arena. And that you almost killed her, and that's why she's now our daughter and she won't be yours again. Serious Issei. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I came, I'll make you suffer for what you did to my little girl. He would say it while Issei's heads bit Yusaka on his arms, causing him to let out a great cry of pain. That's when Mitlet and Kunu would arrive. Mitlet. I guess they've just started. Rainer. Friend indeed. Yusaka in pain. Kunu, my daughter, please, I beg you. At that, Serafel would kick Yusaka, making her retreat. Yusaka in pain. Forgive me for what I did to you, I regret all the harm I did to you, and for hitting you and almost killing you, and for not trusting Issei, but none of us knew that Boris was responsible for everything and those two. Asia. None of us knew. Ha 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 ha. Asia's laughter scared Yusaka because Asia was laughing like crazy. Asia. Mistake, we did know everything, but you didn't believe us, and that's why you almost killed Kunu just because she, like us, believed in Issei, so don't come to me with that nonsense. Asia would say it while with a strong kick she sent Yusaka flying and this impact near her throne because she fell in the throne room. Who knew? I told you that day, it is true that you are my mother since I am your blood and I was born from you. Yusaka felt happy with those words thinking that Kunu regretted it but. Kunu. But I no longer consider you my mother, you hurt me and you never believed in my father and the evidence that my mother's had and I don't care how much you beg me, even if you ask me on your knees, I will never forgive you. Yusaka would be hurt by those words, but after that. Serious Issei. I will take Kunu and Mitlet to help me with the rest that remains in Kyoto, my beloveds, you are in charge of giving this bitch her torture. The girls would smile grimly. Issei. Come on daughter, you and your aunt can help me with those who remain. Happy Kunu? Yes, daddy. So Kunu would grab Issei's hand and both would start to retreat together with Mitlet. Yusaka in pain. No, 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 damn you, give me back my daughter, you damn monster. But then the girls would start hitting Yusaka. Xenovia. Time to start your torture, you damn bitch. At that Xenovia and Irina would draw their swords while Serafel summoned several ice knives and Rainer made small spears of light. And Asia took out a bottle of acid. Kaneko. It's time to start your torture. Author's note. This soundtrack brings back sad memories because I saw it in a fic I saw last year, but I decided to include it because it's good for this moment, end of note. Xenovia and Irina would begin to make several cuts to Yusaka, who would begin to scream in pain, but was silenced by Kaneko and Ravel who kicked her. The Keno would also begin to make several cuts to Yusaka and then electrocute her, causing Yusaka to scream louder. Both Rainer and Serafel would begin to stab Yusaka with ice knives and mini light spears while making cuts on her stomach and legs. Kaneko and Ravel would begin to cut Yusaka with the ice knives while also burning some parts of Yusaka's body. Yusaka, crying. Mercy. Please mercy. The Keno. You're asking us for mercy, ha 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 it's obvious you're a stupid bitch. Serafel. Our beloved Issei will have no mercy or pity on all of you traitors. Kaneko. And we will not have any mercy or pity on you either. Ravel. Why we will make them feel what Issei felt when he was tortured in Tartarus. So the girls would continue cutting, hitting, electrocuting, burning and torturing Yusaka while she continued screaming as if she was feeling true hell. If listening to the screams of everyone in Kyoto suffering and dying was torture and feeling true hell for her, now she was feeling it. The girls finally stopped as Asia stood in front of Yusaka. Asia. Now let's see what you think about this. So Asia would grab an ice knife while the girls grabbed Yusaka. Yusaka scared. What are you going to do to me? Asia. Ara, well let's just say you'll feel a lot of pain here. Asia would say it while smiling in a very devilish way and then stabbing Yusaka in her left eye with a knife. Yusaka, crying. I. The loud scream of Yusaka was heard throughout the devastated city of Kyoto, even Issei heard the scream but did not give it importance because he would let his loved ones have fun while he tortured those who remained. Even Kunu and Mitlet who also heard the scream did not give it importance and continued to torture those who remained in Kyoto. Back with the girls. Asia. Oops, looks like you lost an eye. Asia would say it and then pull the knife out of Yusaka's eye, which was embedded in the knife, so Asia would throw it to the ground and then crush them. Yusaka, crying. Please, forgive me, I ask you to have mercy, please I beg you. Asia. Oh, my goodness, do you think we'll show mercy? We already said no, and no, you'll die for everything you've caused. So Asia would throw the acid on Yusaka's legs, causing her to start screaming in pain while her legs burned from the acid. Irina. Ha 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 keep screaming, your screams are a real pleasure for us. Kaneko. They are music to our ears. Xenovia. I think it's better to start with his last torture, don't you think, Serafel-sama? Xenovia would say it while smiling grimly. Serafel. Ara it's true, I think you girls will enjoy it, it will be a worthy torture for a boar like you Yusaka. The Keno. What is that torture about? Serafel. Xenovia and Irina, you may proceed. So both girls with their swords cut Yusaka's clothes leaving her naked, leaving her blushing and scared of what might happen. Kaneko. So a punishment that every bitch deserves, right? Ravel. I'm going to enjoy it like you can't imagine. Serafel. Begin and use this. Serafel would say it while showing a briefcase and inside there were some whips, handcuffs, a muzzle and finally a dildo. The Keno. It will be a good torture for this boar. So Asia and Irina put handcuffs on Yusaka and also the muzzle. Thus the final Yusaka torture would begin. Kaneko and Ravel would be roughly groping Yusaka's enormous breasts and also leaving some burns on Yusaka's breasts and also leaving strong bites on her breasts and neck. Asia would begin to insert the dildo into Yusaka's intimacy roughly while Yusaka cried and her screams of suffering could be heard but they could not be heard due to the muzzle she had on her mouth. While Xenovia, Irina and Akeno with the whips would be hitting Yusaka all over her body and her butt, while Yusaka continued to cry from all the pain and suffering. Asia then inserted the dildo into Yusaka's anus, very roughly causing Yusaka to let out more screams of pain and moans of pain. She always dreamed of Issei making love to her and having his child. This is not how she imagined it, because this was not pleasure or lust, it was pain and suffering. The queen of the Yakase was receiving torture worthy of a bitch or boar. While Serafel and Rainer ate popcorn and smiled because they were enjoying watching the torture for Yusaka. Then Xenovia and Irina would cut Yusaka's tails, making her scream in pain, but again her scream was not heard due to the muzzle. Xenovia. Oh poor thing, but without your tails you won't have to attract other males like the boar you are. Irina. Now let's continue with your torture. So Irina would cut off Yusaka's yakai ears. Then she, along with Xenovia and Akeno, continued to whip Yusaka very hard. While Kaneko and Ravel continued to leave more burns, bites, and roughly grope Yusaka's enormous breasts. And Asia continued using the dildo to torture Yusaka in her privacy and in her anus. After that the girls would stop. Akeno. I really enjoyed torturing this bitch like this. Serafel. And I think you're going to enjoy what's coming. At that Seraphim would summon a dog the same size as the girls. Asia. Oh how cute. Serafel. She is and she'll help us finish off this bitch, take off the muzzle. So Kaneko would remove Yusaka's muzzle. Yusaka scared. What will they do to me now? Serafel. Look, doggy, do you see that bad woman's butt? Serafel would say it while the dog looked at Yusaka. At that the girls finally concluded their doubts. Akeno. Oh ha 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 ha, we understand. Kaneko. This is going to be great. Serafel. Come on doggy, do to that woman everything you want, use her disgusting bitch ass. The dog would approach Yusaka and then insert his enormous member into Yusaka's privacy. Yusaka adorada. No. Yusaka's loud scream and moan of pain was heard throughout Kyoto, but again Issei, Midlet and Kunu didn't give it any importance. The dog would begin to penetrate Yusaka roughly and brutally while she screamed in pain, moaned in pain and cried while begging the dog to stop, but the dog would not stop. Irina. Yes, keep screaming, your screams are a real pleasure for us. Serafel. Keep going like that, little one, keep moaning like the boar you are, Yusaka. Xenovia. Your screams of pain and your moans of pain are music to our ears. Ravel. It's so cruel, I'm fascinated by it. Akeno. This is a torture worthy of this boar. Xenovia. I said the same thing when Serafel-sama whispered it to me. Kaneko. How did you come up with such a fantastic idea, Serafel-sama? Serafel. Let's say something called an IMH gave me this excellent idea. I would say it while eating popcorn just like the others. Asia. And finally, comes the climax of this torture. The dog now penetrated Yusaka faster and harder while she screamed and moaned in pain and cried her heart out until the dog came inside Yusaka. Yusaka's belly swelled greatly and then the dog pulled out his member and released more semen all over Yusaka's body. Serafel. Good boy. So Serafel would give the dog a croquette and then it would disappear. So the girls approached Yusaka who had her belly very swollen and was covered with a large amount of semen. Xenovia. And what does it feel like to be a Yusaka bitch? Yusaka would have a blank stare. Irina. Look at you, you're just a boar. Akeno. And this is the punishment that a boar deserved for everything you did to our Issei. Serafel. When you tortured him along with the other mass and also for not trusting him and for almost killing our little daughter. Yusaka would continue saying nothing and continued with a lost look and her eyes no longer showed any life. Asia. Hahaha, what's wrong, stupid? Why aren't you saying anything? Kaneko. Did the mice eat your tongue? Ravel. If you're not going to tell us anything, at least your last words are. Yusaka. I'm sorry. It was the last thing she said before Yusaka's belly burst, releasing a huge amount of semen. Luckily, the girls covered themselves with a magic shield. While Yusaka's body was still there but no longer moving, implying that she died with a lifeless look and a face of regret. Ravel. What a shame, my dear, that doesn't exist for sinners. So Ravel and Kaneko would burn Yusaka's body while they and the others smiled because they fulfilled their revenge against Yusaka for hurting the one who is now her daughter. Minutes later. The girls would be taking two girls out of two rooms, one being a blue-haired girl with wolf features and a human girl with black hair, but she was naked. Kaneko. Who will they be? Xenovia. And most importantly, why did that boar have them locked up? On that. Kunu scared. Cousin Satsuna. At that the girls saw that they were Issei along with Kunu and Midlet. Kunu scared. You are alive, but how am I supposed to declare you dead? Midlet. Who is the other one? Kunu surprised. Kasara-san. But how come you were declared missing? Irina. Could you explain to us how you know them? Kunu. The one with wolf features is my cousin Satsuna, she disappeared years ago and was declared dead, and as for Kasara-san, she used to live in Kuo, but she moved to Kyoto and I met her, she became like an older sister to me, but before you all arrived in Kyoto and I met you, Kasara disappeared and was never declared missing, and her parents stayed in Kuo. The girls and Issei too were surprised by that. Rainer. We must cure them. Asia. Issei-san, we can take them with us. Issei seriously. I don't know the black-haired girl, but Kunu mentioned that the girl was declared missing, and the one with wolf traits was declared dead, seeing that they are important to our little one, they will come with us. Kunu would be very happy hugging Issei tightly. Kunu. Thank you very much, Daddy. Issei. Don't worry, what matters to me is seeing you and your mom's happy and also your aunt. So the girls would smile about it. Mitlet. By the way, what did you do with the Yasaka dog? Since we could hear her screams, I assume her torture was well deserved. Rainer. You have no idea. Issei. Well, we have to finish this. Now the girls along with Kunu were on Issei's back in his kaiju form while he was flying over the destroyed Kyoto. The girls were holding the unconscious girls. Until finally Issei would launch his anti-gravity rays. When the 3 anti-gravity beams combined and the combined beams hit, they ended up destroying all of Kyoto. Afterwards Issei would begin to fly towards a place where he could heal Satsuna and Kasara. But before that, Issei would let out his roar of victory, having finished his revenge on Yasaka and all his people. To then disappear into the clouds with the girls. While in the distance Vali, Biku, Gasper, Kiba, Razor, Sererg, Tannen and Drake looked on in surprise to see that both Issei and the girls have no mercy against those who did not believe in Issei. Watcher. And that's how Yasaka and his people paid the consequences of believing in Boris, Saki and Seryu, and soon we'll see who's next on Issei's list. What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. Back in the human world, carnage to the rest of the world and the angels. Watcher. And once again we meet spectators, but now let's see who's next on Issei's list of sinners. Now Issei would be seen in an abandoned but well-maintained house. That's when the girls would come in along with Kunu. Issei. And how did it go? Xenovia. We found clothes for Kasara, but we didn't find anything for Satsuna. Arena. We should make her an outfit. Serafel. Let me take care of that. So Seraphim would grab a lot of threads and needles and then go to another room. Kaneko. In the meantime, we'll go see how Kasara-san is. Kunu. I'll go with my mommy Serafel to help her with the outfit for my cousin Satsuna. So the girls left while Issei stayed in the living room thoughtfully. Issei. Very well, what could our next objective be? Issei would be meditating on it until he finally knew what his next target could be. Serious Issei. I think it's time for the rest of the human world and the angels to pay the consequences for having betrayed me and for being sinners. Minutes later. The first to come out would be Serafel and Kunu. Issei. And what happened? Serafel. We explained everything to you and finished your outfit. Kunu. You can go out cousin, don't worry my daddy won't hurt you. At that point Satsuna would finally come out showing that she had a new outfit or style of clothing. Although she would be a little nervous but she would calm down later. Satsuna. Nice to meet you, hi Odo Issei my name is Satsuna it's a pleasure to meet you. Issei. Just call me Issei, after all you are part of my family haha. Issei would say it smiling, surprising Satsuna because Issei looked like someone serious. Satsuna. My cousin says you were the Red Emperor Dragon, but why does she say you were? Serious Issei. First I want you to tell me everything that happened to you and to know why Yasaka had you locked up. Satsuna was annoyed to hear Yasaka's name, but afterward she would just take a seat. Satsuna narrates. After the death of my parents, Yasaka was afraid that something happened to me, since I am like a kind of kitsune, but with the abilities of a wolf and ice powers, that is something that has never been seen in Yakai, but then Yasaka locked me in a room and never let me out. When I grew up Yasaka explained to me that she did not want me being the last Yakai with these abilities to die apart from wanting me to have offspring. Since then many males always raped me and used me as their semen sac. Every night after that I cried and burst into tears. I wanted to make my own life, start my family on my own and be with my cousin, but it was never possible. I only ended up pregnant with those unfortunates once, but the baby ended up dying. I cried too much because an innocent life died, but I can still have children, and after a long time they stopped using me as their hex toy, but even so I was always inside that room. Normal narration. Satsuna would be telling everything with tears in her eyes, while Kunu comforted her. While Issei and Serafel were furious, all the damage that Yasaka caused to poor Satsuna, that made them angry. Issei. Don't cry Satsuna, you're with us now and if someone wants to hurt you. Serafel would be. He will end up 2 meters underground. Satsuna would calm down and then hug Issei and Serafel. Satsuna crying. Thank you mom, thank you dad. So Issei and Seraphiel reciprocated the hug. Xenovia. Hey, Kisara has woken up. Minutes later. Issei. Very well, we have all introduced ourselves, only you remain. Issei would say it while looking at Kisara, who was somewhat depressed. Kisara, sad. My name is Kisara Himeno. Xenovia. And could you tell us why, like Setsuna, you were locked in that Yusaka bitch's castle? Kaneko. And why were you naked? Irina. Apart from the fact that you were declared missing. Issei. You can tell me everything with confidence, we promise we won't hurt you. Issei would say it smiling. Which would make Kisara blush to see the cute smile of the blonde-haired boy with red eyes. Kunu. Yes, Kisara-san, my daddy and my mommies won't hurt you. After all, you're not a sinner or scum. Kisara would just let out a sigh and then begin to tell what happened. Nara Kisara. When I moved to Kyoto I was very happy. I met many people, and I also got to know the supernatural when I met Kunu-chan, and I grew fond of her, since she was like the little sister that I could never have until one day some strangers kidnapped me, and when I woke up Yusaka told me that she would have me here, because like male yakes, they needed to have offspring, and I would be the semen sack of those bastards. All the time or rather years I was always raped and used as a hex toy for those bastards, and I always cried and screamed for help, but unfortunately no one could hear me, and I never saw the light of day again until now. Normal narration. Kisara would say all this while she was depressed. And a few tears came out of her eyes. But Kunu and Setsuna would hug her tightly. Setsuna. I know what it feels like to have that done to you. If what Setsuna said made Issei angry, what Kisara said ended up making him angry as well as the girls, but afterwards everyone comforted Kisara and Setsuna too. Issei. You have nothing to fear Kisara, now we are with you, and we will always take care of you. What Issei said made Kisara smile. Kisara. Thank you very much Issei-kun, and also thank you girls. Setsuna. Now that I think about it, Dad, could you tell me, Kisara-san, why you are no longer the Red Emperor Dragon? Kisara. It's true Kunu told me about the Red Emperor Dragon and that it possibly has a new carrier, but if you were it, why aren't you now? Issei would get serious while the girls and Kunu wouldn't say anything. Serious Issei. Pay close attention because remembering this brings back bad memories. And so Issei would tell of all his adventures with the supernatural until when he was framed because of Boris, Saki and Seiryu, after how he was tortured in Tartarus, how the rest of his harem abandoned him except for Asia, Xenovia, Irina, Kaneko, Ravel, and Akeno, apart from Kunu and Seraphiel, and that there are also other people who believe in him. How he was tortured by the girls who abandoned him and by the rest of the mass until the moment that Rias ended up destroying him mentally, and after how as the years passed he continued to be tortured until he made the deal with King Ghidorah. Kisara and Setsuna were surprised to hear all of Issei's adventures but exploded in anger upon hearing everything poor Issei suffered. So Setsuna and Kisara would hug Issei tightly. Setsuna crying. Poor you Dad, you didn't have to suffer through all that. Kisara, crying. Those wretches preferred to believe in a damned wretch instead of believing in you, but the good thing is that there are still people who believe in you like us. Issei would reciprocate the hug from the two while the other girls also joined in the hug. Kisara. We also want to help you in your revenge against all those who hurt you. Issei surprised. I would expect it from Setsuna, but do you have magic? Kisara. In fact, I woke her up years ago, look. So Kisara would launch an electric attack as well as a purple fire attack. Kisara. And how are you? Issei. I guess they won't take no for an answer, right? They both shook their heads in denial. Issei. It's okay, you can come with me. So they both rejoiced. Asia. What would be our next year objective? Serious Issei. The rest of the human world and the angels too. Kaneko. What a coincidence, since my relative who is still taking care of Murayama and Kata-senpai informed me through a magic circle some news. So Kaneko would show an image of a newsletter. Akeno. So Michael, Gabriel and the rest of the angel faction will be in the human world to comfort those who lost relatives who were at Kuo Academy. Ravel. This is our chance. Issei. Then it's time for the angel faction to pay the consequences for being sinners. Irina. Normally I would say that there is no need to kill them, but Michael and Gabriel tortured you, so that gives me reason to kill them. Issei. That's how you talk, dear. Setsuna. Our first sinner hunt is going to be exciting. Kunu. Beloved. Minutes later. The slaughter of the rest of the world would begin, Issei and the girls would kill all the governments and also all the people of each country, but Issei and the girls only had mercy on some babies and also on some small children. Issei liked to kill, it's true, just like the girls, but babies and even small children who didn't understand the situation and who never got involved in what happened shouldn't die, so Issei just took them to an orphanage where the owner happily accepted them. Besides, she knew of Issei's innocence because she knew of his great deeds, and she knew that a young man who always gave his life for others would not be capable of such a horrible act. Until finally, after killing many people and countries and states, finally, Issei and the girls left the rest of the people left in Kuo for last and also took advantage and also killed the angel faction. Now Issei and the girls would be seen in a cemetery because Kisara wanted to visit her parents by leaving some flowers on their graves. Kisara, sad. I would have liked to see them again and hug them again. Asia. Kisara-san, even though your parents are not here, they will always be in your soul. Kisara. Yes, you're right, Asia. But in that. Issei, it's you girls. At that, everyone turned around and saw that there were two hooded women. Serious Issei. Who are you? At that, the two took off their hoods, revealing who they were. Issei surprised. Momo, Haruko, it's you. Both Issei and the girls were surprised by this because Momo and Haruko believed in Issei, and Issei also knew it because Asia told him. But they were also surprised that Momo and Haruko had some marks of blows on their faces. Asia is surprised. Where were they? We haven't seen them for 3 years while Issei was being tortured. Issei surprised. What happened to their faces? Momo. During the time you were still in Tartarus, we always cried every day and night for not having you by our side. Haruko. But Saji always hit us, and the president also punished us by receiving blows and magical attacks, and also slaps. Momo. Last year we decided to leave the Citri clan, and we removed the evil pieces. When the attack happened, and the revelation that you were innocent, we dedicated ourselves to killing a few people for not believing in you. Haruko. And until now we learned about the massacre that you and the girls started throughout the human world, and now we are here in front of you. Issei and the girls' blood was boiling with rage because Sona and the Citri clan had hurt Momo and Haruko. After a while Asia would heal Momo and Haruko, and Issei would hug them tightly. Issei. Calm down, everything is fine now, so no. But in that, Issei would be surprised by a kiss from Momo, surprising him and the girls, but then Haruko would also kiss Issei, and he reciprocated the kiss from each girl. Momo Haruko. Ti amamos Issei-kun. Issei. Well, I have no problem reciprocating your feelings after all, you believe in me. Both girls were happy and the other girls agreed to share Issei. Kisara's thoughts. Kisara. Then I might have a chance with Issei-kun. Out of your thoughts. After that, Issei would tell them his plan, so both girls would accept. After all, they wanted to get revenge on everyone who hurt Issei. Now you would see Issei's house with his family along with Mitsuda and Motohama, and also Murayama and Cadis and their respective parents. The house would be protected by a strong spell that Seraphiel put on it. While they watched on television, angry, seeing Michael and Gabriel and the rest of the angel faction with the rest of the people who were still alive. Murayama is annoyed. I wish Issei-kun would kill those unfortunate people for not believing in him. Cadis. Remember that Issei said that he and the girls will kill everyone who didn't believe in him. Motohama. Let's just hope Issei kills all those wretches. In the center of Kuo City. Michael. I know what happened at Kuo Academy hurt you all. Gabriel. But you all must move forward despite everything. Michael. And those setbacks will lift us up and make us get up and keep going. Everyone started clapping and shouting with excitement, but. Vigilante. It's time for viewers to see the consequences that the rest of Kuo and the angel faction must pay for what they did. The sky would be covered with dark gray clouds, while lightning and thunder could be seen, and the occasional thunderclap would destroy the roofs of buildings. The people and angels were somewhat nervous. Gabriel nervously. Brother. What's going on? Michael. I don't think it will be anything good. Just at that moment. Everyone got a little scared when they heard that roar. While Michael and Gabriel and the rest of the angels got goosebumps. The broadcast would be cut off due to storms. Mitsuda. Someone heard the same thing as me before the broadcast cut out. Motohama. Yes, we listened to it. Miku happy. The only one who can make that roar is my little brother, which means that. Murayama Cadis happy. Issei is here and will put an end to all those unhappy people. Issei's father. I just hope the city remains strong, including our house. Issei's mother. Seraphiel left protection to this house so we are safe. Back to the city center. In the sky everyone would see the shadow of a giant monster flying in the gloomy sky and moving from one side to the other. Michael scared. That's it. Startled Gabriel. Issei-kun. The girls would fall into a building, but no one noticed. Seraphiel would be serious. Remember, we have to divide and kill everyone. Ravel. Kaneko and I have already given the final blow to 2 bitches, Kaneko destroying the student with a punch, and I burned the body of the Asaka boar together with Kaneko. Kaneko. The question now is, who will torture Gabriel? Seraphiel would be serious. Let me take care of her, after all I am someone who could give her deserved torture. Arena. I'll help you Serafel, after all I want to make Gabriel pay for torturing my Issei. The Keno. Okay, well we go and kill all the humans and angels possible. Xenovia. Good luck and help Issei against Michael in case of emergencies, although I highly doubt our Issei will need help. So they were all divided among the buildings. While out of nowhere Issei would finally land in his kaiju form. Everyone felt true terror upon seeing him. Issei Ghidorah. Only you humans of Kuo remain, and now you together with the angels it is time for you to receive your punishment. At that point the girls would be in position while Issei's necks would begin to glow. Michael, terrified. Oh no, everyone run. But it was late because suddenly. Issei had already launched his anti-gravity beams, and those nearby and several buildings were destroyed and disintegrated. Michael and Gabriel would be terrified to see what Issei did, but then Issei at maximum speed with his claws sent Michael flying. Gabriel terrified. Brother. But in that arena. Nice to see you again Gabriel. And that Gabriel would see that it was Arena and Serafel. Gabriel. Arena, Serafel son us. But then Arena stabbed Gabriel with her sword, surprising him as he spat out some blood. Gabriel in pain. Arena cough, why? Arena. It's time for your torture to begin Gabriel. The cries of pain and suffering of humans and angels were heard throughout the city. Every human was being mutilated and dismembered by Issei. While Michael looked on in shock and terror. He would try to communicate with the factions, but it would be too late because Issei would catch him. Issei Ghidorah. I'm sorry Michael, but you won't be able to talk to them. Michael, terrified. Mercy, please Issei, I ask you to forgive me, I didn't think you would be innocent. Issei Ghidorah. No matter how much they ask me, I will not have mercy on them and now die just like your bitch sister. Thus Issei would throw Michael to the ground and then launch his anti-gravity rays at him, disintegrating and killing Michael. While Serafel and Arena would finish off Gabriel once and for all. While the rest of the people and angels were executed in the worst possible way by the girls. Issei, seeing that his revenge against the angels and the rest of Kuo's humans was very fast, was a little disappointed, but then let out his roar of victory. Afterwards Issei would return to his human form, where he would receive a tender kiss from the girls which he would reciprocate. Setsuna. So dad, what's our next goal? Kisara. It's true, who are the ones who die next? Litlet. I think I have an idea of who they might be. Issei would be thinking about it because he wanted to leave the underworld last, as well as all the Gremory, except for Venelana and the rest who still believed in him, until finally Issei knew who his next targets would be. Serious Issei. I highly doubt that Rossweisse's bitch is in Asgard, so we will go to Asgard for Odin and his people, and then we will go for Azazel and the Fallen. Litlet. I knew it, I knew you would say that. Rainer. So what are we waiting for? Xenovia. Let's go to Asgard. So Issei would return to his kaiju form, and then the girls would climb on his back and take flight to Asgard. The Watchman narrates. Now the rest of the humans and the angels paid the consequences, and now only Asgard, Gregory, and the underworld would remain, and now Issei and the girls are heading to Asgard, and then they will go to Gregory, which means that it is time for Odin and his people, and also Azazel and the Fallen to pay for their sins. What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. Chaos and death to the Fallen and Asgardians. Asgard. The place where Norse beings, including the Norse gods, live. That land is ruled by Odin, the father of all and one of the most powerful gods, who, according to his people, is their savior and protector. Unfortunately, there are things that Odin cannot cope with. And one of those things is someone's revenge against him and all his people. On the outskirts of Asgard. Two Asgardians would be seen walking calmly while standing guard. But suddenly two blue rays hit their necks, causing them to fall unconscious. Their bodies were then incinerated by purple flames. From the fog that was on the outskirts of Asgard, Kisara would emerge. Kisara. Wow, it wasn't that hard to get rid of these guards, I wonder how the others are doing. Other guards would also be executed in the most bloodthirsty way possible by the girls. While the last two guards continued walking because they didn't hear anything because the girls first cut the guards' throat so they wouldn't scream. At great speed and without them expecting it, the guards were split into millions of pieces, while a large pool of blood was on the ground next to the mutilated flesh of the guards. Revealing that the one who did that was Setsuna with her ice claws. Setsuna. Ha, these idiots didn't last long unlike the angels. At that point the rest of the girls would arrive. Xenovia. Well done, we exterminated all the guards, now only the main city remains. Serafel. We just have to kill the rest of the Asgardians and also finish off Odin, but that will be our Issei's task. The Keno. But we'll still help you with the people who are hiding or trying to escape. Momo. To be honest, it's been a long time since killing everyone who didn't believe in Issei made us feel so good. Baruko. I say the same, I have never felt so alive in my entire life. Asia. The truth is, I'm not one for killing, but when you do it, it feels good, especially when it involves sinners and traitors. Arena. Well, it's better to move on. So the girls entered the main city. Meanwhile, Auden was sitting on his throne. He was thinking about everything that had happened. How could he have been so stupid as to trust Boris, and how did he not assume that King Ghidorah would return? Long ago he had a vision where he saw King Ghidorah returning, but he ignored it because it was impossible for the King of Terror to return from hell. But what he didn't suppose is that by betraying Issei, he would end up making a deal with King Ghidorah and thus the King of Terror would rise again. Auden blamed himself for what he did, he didn't trust Issei's innocence, he didn't believe the evidence the girls had, and he knew his destiny would come. But he didn't know that his destiny and that of Asgard was already here. At that moment the sky would be covered with dark grey clouds. Lightning and thunder would begin to fall from the sky. Watcher. Now it's Auden and Asgard's turn to suffer the consequences of betraying Issei. Auden managed to hear the voice of the watchman. Auden. Who said that? But above Auden's palace in the sky. 3 lights would be appearing in the sky. Until without Auden expecting it. 3 anti-gravity beams hit Auden's palace, causing a huge explosion. The people in Asgard were terrified when they saw Auden's palace explode. But then several magic circles would appear and from there would come out rays, ice attacks, lightning, blue and red fire, and a rain of light spears. Killing several Asgardians and leaving some injured. At that point everyone saw that it was the girls. Equestria. People of Asgard, it's a pleasure to see you all here. Seraphil would say. Because here will be the grave of all of you and Auden. Asia. And they won't go to Valhalla or heaven. Hineko. You will all go to damn hell and die at our hands. Ravel. And in the hands of our beloved Issei. Xenovia. The King of Terror. Just at that moment everyone saw a giant shadow flying in the sky and then the roar of a beast would be heard and everyone saw how Issei in his kaiju form descended on the mountain where Auden's palace was. Rainer. They shouldn't be scared just because of our king. Arena. Well, you will be executed by us too, the Queens of Terror. Momo. So without saying anything else. Setsuna. Let the massacre begin. All the Asgardians began to run, but escape would be useless as Setsuna quickly decapitated a group of Asgardians. Hineko and Ravel would begin to burn the buildings and hiding places where the Asgardians were trying to hide, but they all ended up incinerated. Seraphil froze the Asgardians and then destroyed them, leaving their bodies broken into 1,000 pieces. Equestria together with Kasara, Momo and Raruko killed the Asgardians with magical attacks and lightning. Asia, Mitlet, Rainer, Kunu and Setsuna tore the Asgardians to pieces without any mercy. While Xenovia and Arena killed those who tried to escape or teleport. While Issei would be torturing Auden in the worst possible way. Wounded Auden. Boy, please I beg you, have mercy on my people, I am the one to blame for not believing in you, I beg you, have mercy on them. Issei Ghidorah. You ask for mercy, old man, and you plead for the lives of your people. Issei would just start laughing like crazy. While Issei returned to his human form standing face to face with Auden. Issei seriously. I'm sorry old man, but it's too late to ask me for mercy, you should have thought about it before believing in that bastard and those 2 boars instead of believing in me. Issei would pierce Auden with his claws and he would fall to the ground in agony. Serious Issei. You and your people enjoy hell because people like you don't deserve to go to heaven or Valhalla. Thus Issei would return to his kaiju form while the girls climbed onto his back and then Issei would launch 3 anti-gravity beams and Equestria, Kasara and Seraphil would also launch a combined attack. When the 3 anti-gravity rays and the lightning bolts of Equestria and Kasara combined and Seraphil's attack ended up destroying Asgard and killing Auden and his people. Now Issei and the girls would go for their next target, the Fallen. Later. Grigori Azazil's office. We see the leader of the fallen angels with a serious but at the same time somewhat dejected face. He didn't believe in Issei's innocence, he was an incredible person, Azazel liked to say since he met him, he knew they would get along well. I supported him at all times and Issei also helped him. But now Issei is willing to kill everyone who didn't believe in him. That includes Azazel and his people, he knew that sooner or later his destiny would come just like that of the fallen angels. Azazel was alone because Penemu was killed by him and Surziches and also by Zudicus 2 years ago. Penemu was one of the few people in Grigori who believed in Issei's innocence and the beautiful lady felt a strong feeling of love for Issei. Unfortunately, as Issei was still being tortured in Tartarus at that time, she always escaped and visited Issei, even Azazel heard them cry in silence for her beloved brown-haired girl. It was a day when Azazel got fed up and joined with Surziches and also Zudicus and tortured her to death. Poor Penemu was tortured and also raped by the Mau Lucifer himself, until finally the last day of torture for Penemu arrived and they gave her the coup de grace. And Azazel still remembered Penemu's last words before he died. Flashback. Wounded Penemue. I hope and if Issei manages to get out of Tartarus, he tortures you to death like you did with me, for not believing in his innocence and for killing me. Penemue would only put on one last smile. Happy Penemue? At least I'll be happy knowing that the girls will make my Issei happy and that this world is free of traitors. I love you Hyodo Issei. End of the flashback. Since Issei's innocence became known, Azazel blamed himself every day for believing Boris was a murderer and tortured his assistant, the person who helped him not be lazy and take charge of everything as leader of the fallen angels. But before smoking a cigarette he received some news. Azazel would be shocked because what he saw was the news of the destruction in the human world and also in Kyoto. Where one of his men informed him that no trace of life was found in Kyoto and they only found destruction and ashes. And from the human world only an orphanage remained, as well as Issei's parents and his sister, his friends Mitsuda and Motohama, and also Murayama and Cadiz and their respective parents. But before continuing to look at the report, I noticed that the report was from a few hours ago, but his men hadn't returned since they sent the report. But just at that moment Azazel noticed something in the sky. He saw how everything went dark out of nowhere. And how lightning and thunder began to fall. But what Azazel didn't know was what would happen to him. 3 large anti-gravity beams hit the building where Azazel's office was and he fell to the ground, becoming unconscious. The people were going to approach him, but they saw how a girl stood in front of them with Setsuna looking at them seriously. Setsuna. I give you a recommendation, instead of worrying about this crew you should worry about yourselves, since you will have the same fate as him. From some magic circles several magical attacks would come out as well as spears of light. Seeing that they were the other girls. Rainer. Hello X-Faction, we are glad to see you, you know. Mitlet. But now they must pay for their sins for what they did. And that the Watchman would again be watching everything. Vigilante. It's time for all the fallen angels to feel the true hell. In that sky all the people in Gregory would see a gigantic shadow cross the skies and then. From the sky, everyone watched in terror as that giant shadow descended to the ground. Being our red-eyed blonde-haired boy, Hyodo Issei in his kaiju form. His 3 heads looked down on all of Gregory's people like a good feast. Issei Ghidorah. It's time for you to receive your punishment, fallen angels. Issei would say it while his 3 heads showed a devilish smile. Gregory's people would start running and flying like the devil was after them. But it was useless because those who tried to escape were massacred by the girls. While Issei in his kaiju form began to advance towards where Azazel was. Some fallen angels tried to confront Issei, but it was the worst decision of their lives. Issei's heads devoured them all, and the other Issei with their 2 spiked tails pierced the fallen angels and then crushed them, leaving only a pile of meat and organs. In that, when he was in front of Azazel, Issei would return to his human form. While he was finally waking up he would see in horror how all of Gregory and its inhabitants were destroyed and killed in the worst possible way. Serious Issei. Long time no see Azazel, I haven't seen you since when maybe since the last torture that you and the mask gave me. Azazel would try to confront Issei, but it was useless because he was injured by Issei's surprise attack. Azazel terrified. Why are you doing this? Serious Issei. Don't you remember what I said after I killed Boris? I said I would come after you and kill you all without mercy. Azazel terrified. You killed many in the human world and you also killed Yasaka. Serious Issei. With the human world I left few alive and that includes my family, my friends, Murayama and Cadiz and their parents and children and babies, and the owner of an orphanage where she takes care of them. With respect to Yasaka, well yes I killed everyone in Kyoto, but Yasaka received her torture and death from my queens. Issei would say it while watching the girls kill everyone in Gregory. Azazel was terrified upon hearing that. Issei seriously. Before I kill you answer me something, where is Penemue? Azazel felt a chill run through his body. Serious Issei. The girls told me that the last time they heard from Penemue was 2 years ago and I knew that she still believed in me since she visited me, so where is Penemue? Azazel no responderia por lo que Issei literaria una patata mandando lo a volar. Issei serious. Answer, where is Penemue? But Azazel still didn't respond, so Issei would start to get upset. Issei annoyed. Where the hell is Penemue? He answers unhappily. Issei would start hitting Azazel while yelling at him to answer, but Azazel still didn't say anything until. Angry Issei. Tell me where Penemue is. Azazel terrified. She's dead. Just at that moment the girls heard what Azazel said. Issei. It's not true, tell me what isn't true. Sad Azazel. During the time you were in Tartarus he always tortured her together with Serziches and Zudicus, and one Serziches raped her and then continued his torture until we killed her. The girls' hearts, just like Issei's, broke when they heard that. Asia, Xenovia, Irina, Kaneko, Ravel, Akeno and Serafel would start crying upon hearing that. Momo and Raruko would also begin to cry because there was an occasion in which Penemu cured them of their wounds that Sona and the Citri clan had left them. Gunu would lower her head as she cried silently while Setsuna, Kasara, Rainer, and Mitlet comforted her. Issei couldn't believe what he was hearing. He lost a person who believed in him. A tear ran down his face as he glared angrily at Azazel. Issei annoyed. Now with more reason I will kill you in the worst possible way, you bucking crow. So Issei would begin to hit and cut Azazel with his claws while he screamed and begged for mercy, but that wish would not be granted. The girls calmed down and with enormous rage and fury, began to massacre the other fallen angels that remained. Until later Issei would take his kaiju form and the girls would get on his back. The Keno, Kasara, and Serafel would prepare their combined attacks. While Issei charged his anti-gravity rays. The Keno Serafel, enraged. You will rotten in hell Azazel. Issei Ghidorah. This is for Penemu you damn me. Azazel Adorado. No. On that. With his anti-gravity rays and the combined attack of the girls when they hit all of Gregory the attack completely destroyed Azazel and also everyone who remained there. After that Issei would be floating in the sky while he was down. Asia and the others saw that so they would begin to fly with their demon wings until they were in front of the head of the center which was Issei. Sad Asia. Issei-san, we are the same as you. Sad Xenovia. Penemu was one of the few people here who believed in you and believed in the evidence we gave her. Irina, sad. And now she's no longer with us. The Keno sad. But his death will not have been in vain. Sad Serafel. The only thing we can do is avenge his death. Kaneko Ravel sad. And make the rest pay for torturing her. At that the girls would hug the central head that was Issei tightly while giving him a tender kiss on the forehead. Gunu joined Setsuna, Kasara, Rainer and Mitlet together with Momo and Raruko would hug Issei tightly from his back as well. Rainer. And now there's only one place left to go. Momo Raruko. And it's the underworld. At that Asia would put her hand on the central head. Asia. Now more than anything, we have to finish off the last ones left, let's do it for her. Asia would say it while smiling tenderly just like the girls. Issei, seeing them, only let out a growl, but it was one of determination. Issei Ghidorah. Thank you my queens. So the girls returned to Issei's back and he finally let out his roar of victory after having finished off Asgard and Grigori. And then he flies away from there. While in the distance Bali, Biku, Gaspar, Kiba, Razor, Sarerg, Tannen and Drake watched everything. Bali. He's already finished with the human world, Kyoto, Asgard and Grigori. Biku. Only the underworld remains. Razor. I highly doubt he'll show mercy to them, but the good thing is that the Bale family and my family were on his side. Tannen. But with the Citri and Gremory it will be another story. Kiba. And even more so if we're talking about President Rias. Gaspar. I highly doubt they'll show mercy to her. Sarerg. That's true, when I found out what Rias did I was quite disappointed. Dreg. All we have to do is prevent my partner from killing the mother of the Gremory and Grafia Lucifuge. Gaspar surprised. It's true, Miss Grafia told me that she still believed in Issei because like us, it's not so easy to fool us. Kiba. And also Grafia-sama sees Issei as a brother. Dreg. We'd better get ahead of ourselves. So they all disappeared in a magic circle. Meanwhile. Underworld Gremory Mansion. Grafia could be seen looking at the sky in her room while there were anti-noise magic circles. This was because Grafia didn't want to listen to Rias and the others' cries. She was bothered by how hypocritical they were because they were all really stupid to believe in Boris and those two. But she was also saddened by the fact that that day she couldn't defend Issei, that boy she sees as a brother she could never have, and she couldn't defend him out of fear. As strange as it may sound, Grafia was afraid that day because when she saw that no one believed Serafel when she defended the brown-haired boy, she thought that if she did the same, Surziches would hit her and also take her away from her son Milikas. But during the time that Issei was in Tartarus, she always helped the girls so they could visit Issei, and she also visited him, although during that time Issei lost his sight. This was due to one of the many tortures that Surziches and the rest of the mass gave the brown-haired boy. But whenever she could she visited Issei to console him because of what Rias did and for always being tortured, and that both Venezuelans and soldiers missed him a lot. Unfortunately, little Milikas committed suicide a year and a half ago. One day, Grafia found him dead while holding a vial of Samuel's blood in his hand. While he left a final message hoping to see that chestnut-haired man again, whom he considered his uncle until the very end. The poor maid cried like never before that day and didn't leave her room for a while. But the girls who believed in Issei and also Serafel and Kunu comforted her as did Venelana, so the maid calmed down, but she still always remembered her little son with much love. Surziches was also hurt by the death of his son, but later he also got over it, although Grafia didn't care if Surziches got over it or not because she stopped being close to him from the day Issei's innocence was proven. Now Grafia just looked at the sky sadly, wishing to see the one she considered her brother once again. Well, there are some mountains nearby. Saki and Seryu were seen sitting in a tree being sad. They had been looking for Issei to carry out their revenge for having killed Boris, but unfortunately they didn't hear anything from Issei, which discouraged them. Unaware that his death and that of all the traitors in the underworld was soon approaching. Watcher. Soon the underworld will become the true purgatory, and all those who did not believe in Issei and especially those who tortured him there will pay the consequences with their own blood. What happens next? Find out in the next chapter. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.